sisters and misses and misters, here's your daddy-o with the sounds to go. No shucking, no jive, and I'm telling you, your music's arriving.
Hey.
Hey,
I'm Largo.
how's it going, Jim?
This is Alair, and that's Will. And we're here and not discombobulated as usual. Things seem to be running fairly smoothly. So I just jinxed it by saying that, I'm sure.
Yeah, I was going to say I should fall out of my chair.
How are you, Will? How are you doing?
Good. Doing well.
Good.
Yeah.
Are you excited? Are you jazzed for this guest we have tonight?
I really am, because before tonight, this is a very powerful playlist, because I had some opinions about a land down under before this playlist, and they've been changed. I now want to go there because the songs and the message that they convey. I'm blown away, actually, by this entire playlist. This is the first time I have loved every single song on a playlist. And
cool.
I'll let you know which one my favorite is.
No further ado, let's introduce our guest for the evening.
Hey, g'day, mates.
Xazyl, how are you, man?
G'day.
So good to see you.
Couldn't be any better. It's so good to be hanging out with you guys. A big fan of you guys, not just the channel, but a big fan of you guys as people. So when you guys reached out and said you wanted to do this, I was like, yes, please, ASAP.
Good, yeah.
Well, we had a great time hanging with you.
Oh, you go ahead, Jim. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, we did a show with you last year and had a great time, and then we kind of all got busy doing other stuff, and we've enjoyed catching the rebranding of Xazyl's Clubhouse and seeing some of the new things you're doing on the channel. And there's still plenty of Sarge love there. The Sarge is still front and center, but now he's expanding into some new cool projects with a whole clubhouse full of wacky buddies to hang out and do fun stuff with.
Yeah, so. That's the best way to put it. Wacky buddies. It's just good fun. And that's what we're all about at the Clubhouse, having some good old fun.
It was good. And as much as I love Xazyl, I gotta tell you, I'm a human. I make mistakes. Knowing the country he was from, I was probably, I cinched up my coin purse when I was around him, and it was just, it wasn't my fault. I was just like, hey, this is wonderful dudes. And, this playlist has really turned me around. I now consider all Australians actual people and not just cutthroats. And
not just stereotypes.
Actual people. Yeah.
Not just an island of cutthroats and mercenaries, looking to steal my coins. No, I'm kidding. Of course, love Australia. Love Xazyl. And
thanks.
Well, we're going to learn a little bit about Australian culture in this playlist, just a little bit. But the music is cool. A lot of these bands, I have to say, I was not terribly familiar with.
No.
But I really enjoy the vibe. There's kind of a thought line through each of the different artists in this list of people who appreciate blue collar, working class people, their struggles. And I like it. I like the fact that there's kind of a theme to
I
this.
think Australians and like southern U.S., Southerners in the U.S. Have a lot in common. Any one kind of country is definitely, I think, can relate to a lot of these songs as well.
So I want to preface this list with a little blurb, little notice, and just say that I picked Australian artists and bands. Actually, one of the solo artists is actually in one of the bands that I picked as well. See if you can pick that one out. But I also intentionally didn't pick ones that I thought might have mass appeal. All right, so you've got some that may have reached out across the globe, but I wanted to take away some of those most popular songs and really highlight some of the ones that I feel, if not superior, at least as good as those hits.
Absolutely.
Some of these guys might be known as one-hit wonders over in other parts of the world, or not even known at all. But for me, these are all, token Australian legends of music. And I love music from other countries as well, right? But I wanted to put a little bit of Australiana out there, because I'm a big Phil Collins fan. It was hard not to put some Phil Collins in the mix. I like the Cars, I like Genesis, I like bands and music from other countries. But I thought this is a great opportunity to really put the spotlight on some of my favorite local.
I'm glad you did. I'm really glad you did because
I am glad you clarified, because the fact that there is no Kylie Minogue on this list almost got you blacklisted.
Right? Yeah. Retro Blasting
out there.
Retro Blasting. Michael French was very kind to highlight Kylie Minogue in his Infinite playlist and in his everyday life. So I think that's been well and truly covered, and I was safe to just step back from a little bit of Kylie there.
That's fair. All right. Well, let's see what is in your music dossier. I love the new logo, by the way. Who put together the new cartoon style Clubhouse gang?
So Adam from Go Figure, great guy. He not only did he put together this logo, but he also put together the new theme song. And these are all things. He's such a nice guy. He dropped all of this stuff into my inbox and said, I was thinking about you today. I came up with this song, use it or don't use it. I was like, this is the best song I've ever heard. I'm definitely using it. And then he started dropping all these images in. He goes, hey, what do you think about these? And I'm like, mate, you are just the best. Dropping all of these images and music, and it was definitely the feel that I was going for. And I feel like he really captured that sort of fun essence that the Clubhouse wants to sort of lean towards.
Yeah, very cool.
So thanks, Adam.
Yeah, thanks to Adam. That's cool. Really enjoying some of the stuff that he's doing with you. Also, his own channel where he reinvigorates, some vintage toys, breathes some new life into them, comes up with some novel ways to, replace missing doodads and gadgets and
magic.
It blows my mind every time. Yeah. Pure wizardry.
Yeah. Absolute magic. Yeah.
So again, very cool playlist. Some of these were familiar. Midnight Oil, Silverchair, obviously they're pretty well known. Ice House. Mm-hmm. The others were kind of new to me. And it's kind of one of those things where I've probably heard them, but didn't know who the artist was. Now we know. The knowing is half the
battle.
We start with kind of a somber note. Red Gum. I was only 19.
I was going to say, and this brings up the playlist, guys. If you want the best viewing experience, what you want to do is go ahead and click the link to the playlist that Jim's put together below.
Mm-hmm. Down below.
Then pause, because Red Gum, I was only 19, has a advisory thing you have to click on every time you click on the playlist. It kept pausing my playlist when I went away from it and came back, because you have to click even if you're subscribed and that you're over 18 and you're okay with it.
Right. The nanny bots get you.
Yeah,
Because this is, there are adult themes here because it does deal with PTSD, the issues that all soldiers deal with who have been in a combat situation and then transitioning back to civilian life. Powerful stuff.
I know
did
we say this
intentionally.
every show. Just play this playlist, turn the volume down. You play this playlist in another tab, turn the volume down so you can still hear us talk. It really enhances the listening pleasure there.
Great idea.
Yeah, sorry.
So I did intentionally put this at the top of the list because I think it's an important song, but I didn't want to put it at the end. It's an important message, and I think it's just a really good. I guess the word I'm looking for is powerful. It's a very powerful song with a great message in there. And I feel like if you hear it for the first time, you're like, oh, this is catchy, okay. And it's that old thing where if you're happy, you listen to the beat, right? And when you're sad, you listen to the lyrics. But in this one, it's like it's a bit catchy, and then you start to listen to the words, and then it really starts to hit, and then the emotional tone starts to shift, and by the end of it, I'm almost in tears, if not literally in tears. And
Absolutely.
it's one of the. So I thought I want to, if you're listening to it, go back to it again and give it a real good listen. But if I didn't put it first, then I don't know how we would have been able to finish strongly without having the emotional punch first and then getting into a little bit more fun.
It really is. And I think even if I heard this when I was 19, I probably wouldn't even be able to fathom it myself. But being older now and having children that are beyond this age, and how I worry for them, even just in regular society, just one, being 19, being of an age now where my body is I'm starting to feel the effects of just age, as it comes. And, when he's talking about, oh my God, just the lyrics are just, like I said, anyone who's served or lost or anything like that. It just feel for
a lot of our friends are prior service, and a lot of us have family, fathers, grandfathers who have served in wartime. My father is a Vietnam veteran. He's still with us. He served as a Navy corpsman, which is kind of the equivalent like an Army medic. He was in the field with the Marines, exposed to Agent Orange, dealt with all of the horrors of that experience. Yeah. And it's not something he talks about. So to get a glimpse into the view of someone who, as a young man is thrust into a war situation like the Vietnam War.
My uncle was injured by a landmine in Vietnam and was never the same. And,
right. I've never had the privilege of being able to serve my country, but huge respect for those that do. And I think that they probably have a much deeper connection to the lyrics and the spirit of this song than I ever could, but it does hit you hard.
Yeah, I cannot even imagine any young person at 19 years old going through these guys did.
And Will, you make a good point, because when I first heard this song as a youngster, I was like, oh man, this is really tough, really powerful stuff. Yeah. But as an adult, you're looking back on it and go, oh man, at 19, I could barely tie my shoes.
Exactly.
This is mind blowing what those poor kids were going through over there, or anywhere really. Yeah. When it comes to going to war.
Yeah. The lyrics are very powerful. They certainly capture the whole essence of that experience, and it's done in a very respectful way. Some of the anti-war anthems in America were very insulting in some ways to soldiers. I understand, people were against the war and were protesting, but they weren't taking into account that some of the people caught up in what was going on. It was not something that they went into, with a lot of zeal. It was either they were there because of the draft. They were there because they knew it was the right thing to do, or they thought so at the time. It was not an easy situation. There wasn't a clear black and white to a lot of it. There's a lot of gray, and that is also reflected in how this song portrays the experience.
I'm surprised I haven't heard this before, and I understand that for Australians this is a very well-known song, but I'm surprised that I haven't heard it before.
Well, the message also doesn't end with the war. The message is, there are after effects that nobody at the time was talking about. And that's even touched upon previous wars. It was like, well, how come nobody from previous wars let us know that this is what we were going to be feeling afterwards? Why does nobody talk about this? What's wrong with me? Why can't I sleep? What's happened to me? It's it's one of those songs that if you allow yourself some time to really listen to it, just really absorb yourself into it, and then put on a happier song afterwards to cheer yourself up.
But it does bring up an important point, especially speaking about previous wars in the United States and some other places where people who watch this show are from. We celebrate Memorial Day. We celebrate Veterans Day. But you Aussies and New Zealanders have Anzac Day. And I thought we should touch on that because although it is specifically, it's speaking to the Gallipoli campaign and what happened in that time during World War I, it has come to mean veterans of all conflicts. Can you kind of touch on that a little bit and explain what Anzac Day is to folks in Australia and New Zealand?
So it is one of those days where I feel personally it brings everybody together in remembrance. And whether you had family members that served, or whether you knew somebody that served, or whether you are just proud of your country and the servicemen and women that have gone through this stuff before, it's a very emotional when we do a moment of silence, and it's one of those moments where you're really like not the world, I guess, but Australia stops, right, for this silent moment, and everyone is you can find yourself really losing yourself into the thought of it. And I think that's part of the point, is that you give yourself time to go back and reflect and think and remember those who have gone to war, lost their lives, or come back and have had personal battles, and allowing us to have that freedom that we do. It's really, the
really
moment of silence
you appreciate what they gave, especially when you compare it to the things that maybe trouble your life. When some people went and gave all for us to continue to be able to live these lives. It's amazing.
Absolutely. Well, I'll highlight a few things here just to touch on, because there are some things that are specifically Australian or New Zealand centric about Anzac Day, including its name. The name comes from the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps, which were part of the soldiers who served in World War I. It's observed on the 25th of April, and it reflects what happened around the year in 1916, the Gallipoli campaign, which was a truly horrific era of warfare. These guys went into a situation that was very difficult. The terrain was horrendous. The supplies they had were limited, and there were many casualties. There are dawn services that are held because a lot of these guys were deployed at dawn, and that's sort of a remembrance of that. The red poppy flower, we use that for our Memorial and Veterans Days as a remembrance as well, but it has a very specific significance in the fact that these poppies were something that were on the battlefield, growing wild, and so there's a huge significance to them. I don't think a lot of people recognize or would know. The Anzac biscuits is something I was not familiar with until I started doing a little research on this. What are those?
So for I remember growing up, and in school we would all get together and bake these cookies, and then I remember Mum would also be making these biscuits at home, and for as little kids we're like, oh great, we're getting a nice sweet treat, as it says in the description there. But you don't really feel the history of it just yet. But then as you get a bit older, in primary school, they start to teach you, the reason for Anzac Day and the reason for these biscuits. And what they are, for the most part, it's oats, it's coconut, and it's golden syrup. And for the most part, that's what you're going to get. And back in those days, it was like a very hard biscuit designed to last the rigors and the time frames of war. And Will actually brought up before the show that they would crush it up and make it like a little bit of an oatmeal out of it, which I've never tried, but I'm tempted to give it a go because it sounds delicious. But my mum, rest in peace, Mum, love you. She used to make these in two different styles, right? On the same day, make it in two different styles. One was hard and crunchy, and the other was a little bit softer, right? And so we got to, if you go down to the store, buy a packet of them, they were quite crunchy. But Mum used to make them gooey. And, so when you get them straight out of the oven, they're nice and piping hot and you burn the roof of your mouth. It's just, it just brings back those sort of delicious memories for me. And in retrospect, lets me have a thought with those that did serve as well. Absolutely. But they're great biscuits. They're great biscuits.
And I love these kinds of traditions and learning about them in other cultures. People have certain rituals or treats or things that they use as ways of remembrance. And it's always cool to learn about something new like this and have an appreciation for it. So, it is a bit of a somber tone, but I think it's important for people to recognize and respect that Anzac is very important in other parts of the world. And if you hear the term, we've heard it from you, from folks like Tony at Analog Toys. I know that he's brought that remembrance up on his show. It's good to know a little bit about the backstory of why it's important. And so there is a video at the end of Xazyl's playlist. It's kind of a little documentary talking about it. If you're interested, check it out. I put it there just cause.
Perfect.
All right, moving on. Let's get into some music.
Oh man.
So can we just pause for a sec?
Sure. Oh, sure.
So I did want to check to make sure that there was a moment of silence on Anzac Day. So it originally did start for Remembrance Day, which is on the 11th of November, and then was transitioned over to Anzac Day for a moment of silence too. But I didn't want to confuse the two.
Oh, okay.
So I thought I'd better do a bit of homework there. But Remembrance Day also has that moment of silence on the 11th minute of the 11th hour of the 11th month.
Oh, really?
There's a moment of silence, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know it was that specific.
I need to do my homework when it comes to history. But
yeah, you don't want to get it wrong. Yeah.
You're representing an entire nation, so no pressure. All right, Midnight Oil, a band I am familiar with, a song I did not understand the significance of until this playlist.
And the video is just amazing. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So if Midnight Oil do have a powerful message in most, if not all, of their songs, but it can be just as entertaining watching the lead singer do his dance moves. If you haven't seen any of his dance moves, they are wild. They are out there, and it can detract or add to the message he's trying to say.
Oh, I loved it. It enhanced it greatly.
You can go down a rabbit hole of Midnight Oil, or the oils, as they're sometimes called. You can go down a rabbit hole just watching the dance moves that happen. They're not good, but they're iconic now. So we love it.
Well,
but
Blue
it is
Sky Mining is the name of the album. Also, Blue Sky Mine is the name of this particular track, and it's a great song if you don't understand what the lyrics are talking about. It's a powerful song if you sit and listen to them and understand the historical context.
Yep.
Blue Sky Mine is not a happy place at all. Mining is a big part of what goes on in Australia, and this particular mine is kind of notorious. So,
well, you also think about the impact of the environment. It's really it's taking away from our clear blue skies as well, right? So it's almost like we're mining the beauty of the world for the profit of companies. And when you listen to the lyrics, again, it's one of those ones where it's got a great music behind it. But the theme and the themes that Midnight Oil often tackle are heavy ones with great music behind them. But this one is particularly, I guess, impactful because it's from the perspective of the hardworking man who's struggling to make a dollar, while the big companies are making billions at the expense of the world itself. You know, for profit. We're going to dig a hole into the ground for profit, and hopefully by the end of the week you'll have some money for food.
Yeah. And that's something that isn't often discussed. I mean, growing up as a Gen Xer, we tend to be rather cynical about most things in life. So our typical response to environmentalism growing up was a bunch of tree hugging hippies. What do they know? It's like, no, man. It's people, especially the part of the United States that I grew up in Tennessee and Kentucky and that area. Mining was a way of life, and that was how you put food on the table. For them, it was coal mostly, nasty, dirty business, but that was the only work in town. And you either worked in the mines or you didn't eat. So, you know, it's a struggle between doing what you have to do to put food on the table for your family and, you know, the larger impact of what are you doing to the world, you know? No easy answers.
Well, there aren't, because you get locked into the cycle, right? Because you got to do the work to earn the money, but the work you got to do is, you know, it's dirty work. And it's harmful, and then you're like, well, we want to shut these things down, but they've made it in such a way that this is what makes the world move now. So you want to shut all this stuff down, but then what do you do in its place? And then how do you make a dollar? And then, you know, so forth and so on until it's just too hard to tackle. And I think that's part of it as well, is that how it's one thing to want to tackle it, but then how? How do we tackle it? It's gone
when it's all interconnected. It's like, you know, it's part of the economy. It's part of these, you know, a lot of these towns have grown up around the mines. And if the mines close down, the whole town can shut down if there's not something to replace that activity. So, yeah, not easy for anyone to try to come up with a clear answer.
I've lived in small mining towns before. So we lived in a small mining town in the Northern Territory called Warrego. And I can't for the life of me remember what they were mining, but I think that's irrelevant. I wasn't doing it. I was a kid. But they were mining something. And for us kids, it was just, you know, we're out in the outback, so we just get on motorbikes and muck around. But we actually went to what I guess would be considered the local tip, where they had a lot of, or dump, where they would have a lot of old mining equipment that we used to go and muck around in. We weren't supposed to be there, but as kids, you go where you want, right?
Sure.
One day we found this old silo, and we found these old mats, and we started building this little cubby house out there. Turns out the mats were asbestos. It's like, well, that wasn't great. And the silo could have been used, but probably wasn't. Could have been used for cyanide. And so my stepdad was like, you should not be playing there. It's not, I mean, yeah, there are some cool stuff to look at, but everything has been touched by something that is probably not going to be good for you. And it's like, wow. And it's out in the open, right? It's crazy.
And as a kid, you have no idea what toxicity is or any of that.
No,
it's all
You
invisible.
don't know.
No.
But those small towns were reliant on the mine. That was their livelihood. They lived there, they worked there, they breathe the air there, as bad as that may be. But that town is now shut down. That's not there anymore. Where do those people go? That's their friends and their family or whatever now are just off to wherever, because you get trapped in that cycle. I was like, yeah, this is not great, but we have to do it because this is our lifestyle.
That's fair.
But he also tackles Midnight Oil also tackle things like the health and well-being of the Indigenous community and the how they're treated and whether it's fair or whether we should. One of them is literally let's give them the country back, which is Beds Are Burning. Great song if you want to check that one out. But it's all of them. All of the songs they're great music, but I don't think one of them is like poppy. It's not.
Yeah.
Everything has a message. Everything has a deeper seated message, whether it be Indigenous communities or the health and well-being of the planet and its people. So,
yeah,
and it's got harmonica.
Gotta love harmonica.
And a bit of this.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So. Yeah, it definitely makes me want to go back and listen to other Midnight Oil tracks that I probably just listened to and enjoyed the music and never really thought about the deeper meaning of what they were talking about. So there is that. From there, Australian Crawl, a very different vibe, a cool one.
Yeah.
I love
Aussie Crawl, as we call it. That's the Aussie slang for it. Aussie Crawl. But they also have a song about Errol Flynn. So, these guys were deeply into surf culture. So this is a whole different perspective as far as these are like the Aussie larrikins. You watch their film clips and they're all having fun, right? Yeah. They're all just goofing off and having fun. This is a whole different.
The video, the set that they're performing on is just beautiful. I love it. Just great. This is 80s, right? Definitely. Or
could be early. No, definitely not 90s. Early 70s. No, late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah. And they look like they're having a blast. Boys light up.
Oh yeah.
Love it.
And this is a good example, and there are more in this playlist of what's come to be known as pub rock.
Pub rock, yeah.
So, what is the Aussie crawl? Is that like a pub crawl, or is that something different?
You know what? I don't know. It probably could be. It could also be at the end of a big night out, and you're just trying to make your way home. That is a good question, and I've never actually given it much thought. It just sounds like a really catchy.
Yeah,
they both do work.
Yeah.
The Aussie crawl is just trying to get home from the pub.
I like that. Yeah, we can all relate to that.
Oh yeah, there's definitely some new wave flavor to this as far as the sound. It's just fun. It's catchy. I enjoyed it.
More harmonica.
Another band that was not on my radar that is now.
It's like to me, it's like looking back at an 80s that you never knew existed. So it's really interesting and like fun. It's like recapturing that because a lot of the energy and kind of like it's similar to what we experienced in the US, but different. And, just as good or better, in some people's opinions. It just never made its way over, or at least, not on my radar. So I love it. I love seeing it. It's just
this song in particular was almost banned for its risque lyrics.
Really?
And if one, they thought that it had to do with recreational drug use, as in boys light up.
Gotcha. Did he? There he is.
It's also been explained, and I will tread lightly as I try to explain some of the meaning behind it. Is that it could also be? It's been explained to be smoking cigarettes when you're a kid. Don't do it, kids. But it's also been explained to potentially be about. Can I say fellatio? Is that a word we can use here?
Sure.
Yeah. So it depends on which of the interviews that you're reading or listening to, but those two things often
Right.
pop up as a potential meaning.
Let's
but if you
just
listen-
say it is a very good coming of age song, talking about things that young lads will experience at some point.
right.
Yeah. So
Exactly, Mundo.
either way, it's a fun song. They're speaking about, things that people need to think about at some point anyway.
If I could
but-
also shout out the songs "Reckless," check that one out by Ozzy Crawl, and it definitely, because that's a more slower, somber song.
Yeah.
Almost made it to this list, but also the Errol Flynn. Errol, check that one out too. That's a good fun bop.
Nice. Very cool. Well, let's cruise along and talk about the Angels. This one,
Right.
talk about a good, fun pub song.
Yeah.
Am I ever gonna see your face again? And the
No
response.
way, yeah.
This is call and response, baby. All the way.
I've got a funny story to tell. Well, it's funny to me. Whether or not you guys find it funny, I don't know. But I was hanging out with Steve from GI Joburg. We were in the same town for a while, and we went to karaoke. And somebody decided to sing "Am I Ever Going to See Your Face Again?" And collectively, and he's from South Africa, so he wasn't aware of this mantra. But as it gets into it, right? It goes, "Am I ever going to see your face again?" And then we all yell out, "No way, yeah!"
Right.
As I'd love to continue with the swearing, but
sure,
as Aussies do,
yeah.
I'll hold off. But he was just like, "What is happening? What is everyone doing?"
Yeah,
but nobody really knows. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, for those who are not in the know, a call and response song, especially something that you'll hear live at a pub, is a very common thing, especially in certain parts of the United Kingdom or in Australia. This one is one where the band had no idea this was coming, but people who had been listening to the song, this had just become something they do, like football hooligans do. And so when they were performing live, they started getting this from the audience, and they're like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
And now it's just a thing. So
it's not on the track. But if you're listening to it with a group of Aussies, they will yell out, "No way, get F off." Where that came from, nobody can really pinpoint it. It just started happening at the live show. There may be a live recording of it somewhere that has that, but it's a classic.
Yeah. Aside from the audience response, it's a catchy tune. It's well done.
Yeah. Oh, it's also a wonderful. Yeah. I didn't know about the response, and I loved the song. Yeah, I thought it was wonderful.
Well, I want you to think about that next time listening to it. Will.
Oh, now I will never listen to it the same way again.
Perfect. So a lot of these songs have been from bands that my mum and dad would listen to. And we used to drive, because we lived in the dead center of Australia, we used to drive from Alice Springs to Adelaide or catch the train, depending on if my dad wanted to drive or not. But on the drive, because it's a few days, they would play the Angels, they would play Ozzy Crawl, they would play, a lot of these artists that we're about to get to. And so they have that sort of deep
I was going to say, as I was listening to your playlist, I was like, I could definitely go on a road trip with Xazyl.
Yeah.
If he brought the playlist, because this is amazing.
If I start swearing like I've got Tourette's, then we've gotten to this song.
It's something we forget too, as people from the other side of the world. I mean, the United States is pretty spread out, but not like Australia is. You've got certain pockets of civilization and then nothing, large stretches of nothing in between. So going from place to place, there's a lot of road tripping where if you didn't have some good tunage, it's a very boring day.
It's pretty safe to say, just imagine if the U.S. was only the coasts and just a whole lot of nothing in between.
Well, pub rock is great for road trips, but it's also and the reason why it's called pub rock is because it's great music to just sit down and have a beer and hang with your buddies. It's not too over the top. Some of it can be quite simple. But the feeling is there behind it, and it can be good for a dance, and not maybe some of this, but it's also just good hangout music as well.
And relatable. I think every one of these songs was something that I felt like was like I could relate to.
Yeah.
I agree.
And again, very blue collar, as we call it. It's like whatever you've been doing for the day, you pop into the pub, you see your mates, you put something like this on, and you just kick back and enjoy a brew or six,
or a working class man.
Indeed,
which is my
God,
Jimmy Barnes. I love Jimmy Barnes, and the next one, which is what's Farnham, what's his name?
John Farnham. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just because they didn't come up with any catchy names. It's just like, no, I'm Jimmy Barnes. That's it.
Yeah.
I love musicians like that. It's just
Jimmy pops up a lot in this playlist.
Does this guy rock? Yeah. And he's just wearing that T-shirt with the ripped sleeves, walking through the fields, and he's singing the song. Oh, I love the song. It's great.
So, have you ever seen that meme of the cowboy in the sky yelling out?
No, is it him? Is it Jimmy? Barnes?
That's Jimmy. I'll let you know which song it is. Actually, it's so good. But he's such an icon, and this I can't remember the guys that do this song, but they hit him up and they said, "Can you come and be on our song?" And he goes, "Yeah, what do you want me to do?" Literally just and that's it, because he's known to belt them out. I'll look that up. The only way I can figure it out is by going Jimmy Barnes. There it is. And it's called Big Enough by Kieran J. Callaghan, featuring Alex Cameron and Molly Lewis.
I'll get a link to that.
And it's just him in the sky yelling.
That's awesome.
And that's his only lines in the song.
We'll definitely add that to the links in the description.
Perfect.
Yes, I will definitely add a link to this. Oh my God.
But Jimmy leans very heavy into blue collar, very heavy, because he was a blue collar man himself. Mm-hmm. And he will talk about a lot of those sort of like the there's a song called "Closing Down Our Town," I think it's called, pretty recent one, and it's about how they used to build and produce cars in Australia, but now they're all doing it overseas, so they shut down the factories and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Taking away the work for the blue collar man. But he's got a very powerful vocal. He can really scream it out, very raw, really rough, he's just the working class man. I thought was probably, out of his songs, were probably the most Australiana that I could think of that maybe hasn't had much of a following outside of Australia.
Yeah. That's fair. And the themes are very similar to what we saw, with cities like Detroit in the United States, when, a lot of the auto manufacturing went overseas here as well, or, and he's got a very powerful, emotional vocal. His lyrics are very down to earth, working man stuff. I like him a lot.
Yeah.
And, it's cool to see how he definitely
this guy.
He's an icon. This guy.
This guy's my dude right here. If I could be someone on this playlist, it's him in the video for this song, because
he is having so much fun in this video. And the thing is, this is amazing. Pressure down. The video that I used for this is not actually my favorite version of the song, but he is having so much fun in that film clip, and it touches on the imagery on it hits a lot of personal likes, but he's having so much fun in there, and he's wearing the goofiest outfit, and it's just it's so good.
That outfit is amazing. Like, if I could cosplay anyone, it would be this guy.
John Farnham used to be known in his younger days as Johnny Farnham. And he was he made it big with Sadie the Cleaning Lady, which was a bit of a I guess a commercial song that was Sadie the Cleaning. I can't do it like he does, but it's like and he's afraid. He's like, well, man, it's going to be a good bopper, but is it going to put me down as one of these young sort of teenage idol sort of guys instead of like serious music? And it did. It impacted him severely. Like he was out of work for ages, right? For a long time. And then he joined the Little River Band, which is a great band. Check them out. But then he struggled. He was living out of his car at one point, but he was struggling to get out there again until finally he made it. He changed it from Johnny Farnham to John Farnham, and his popularity just blew up. And it all had to do with one radio station playing a John Farnham, because nobody wanted a bar of him. Nobody wanted a bar of Johnny Farnham. They didn't take him seriously. But then when he finally got out there, he had You're the Voice, which is a super popular song, which I'm sure everybody has heard. If they haven't, then check that one out. But for me, Pressure Down, it's maybe one of the ones that is less known, but it's also got a pretty good message to it. And there's
the robots in the beginning and all that.
Oh yeah,
it's so
the video's
good.
fun.
Oh my god.
The album Whispering Jack, all the tracks on it are good. This one in particular, I really enjoyed. Great video. Check this guy out. He's definitely worth a listen. That's for
battling
sure.
robots in the first like 5 minutes, and then
it's just
did
good
you guys
fun.
call it Snakes and Ladders? Snakes and Ladders.
Yeah, we have Snakes and Ladders.
Yeah. There's like all these. Oh my god! Just the videography, the special effects, the stuff flying by him, his outfit,
his dance moves. He loves to spin. He loves to spin.
I love it. I love it. Everything.
Good stuff. About it. Now, Silverchair is one that probably a lot of folks are familiar with. They're very much an international band.
Of course, we all know about Fat Boy.
Yeah. Wait till tomorrow.
Oh, I love that song. But
I was I was not as familiar with the stuff from Frog Stomp, their first album.
Right.
Their sound is definitely very similar to what we hear with American grunge, at least a lot of the stuff with this album for sure.
Yeah. So Frog Stomp is my favorite of the albums. I did like some of their later stuff, but this one really, because I was their age. I've got an interesting story. Well, it's interesting to me again. I don't know, you might find it interesting. If you'll indulge me for a moment.
Oh, of course.
We were living in Perth, and we traveled over to Brisbane for a holiday. And on the way back, we were actually on a flight with Silverchair. Now, they had their first, Tomorrow had just come out, and they're doing the Triple J tour. That they're sitting in the back with us. They're not sitting front row or nothing. They're not first class yet. They're sitting in the back with us. And I hadn't really, I think I may have heard the song once or twice, but I didn't really know who Silverchair were yet, right? But as they're coming onto the plane, I'm like, oh, kids our age, perfect. And they sit right behind us. So, I get up on the back of the chair like this, talking over to them and going, hey, guys, what are you guys up to? And, they start talking about their album. I was like, oh, I think I've heard that. Cool, right? These are just kids like us. So we're just talking like kids, 16, 17 or whatever. And then I was looking through the In-Flight magazine, and there's a tiny little picture of Silverchair on there. I was like, guys, you made it. You're in the magazine, right? And they're all like, oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I didn't have the foresight to ask them to sign it, but again, they were just kids like me, right? And at the very end of the flight, we all get off the plane, and lo and behold, there are fans at the airport waiting for them.
Wow.
Nice.
Two girls were waiting for them, and I'm like, guys, oh my god, you made it.
Groupies.
You got fans. I could not be more pumped for these dudes that were, because I had long blonde hair doing the grunge look, and these guys just looked like me and talked like me and acted like me. And like, it may have sounded condescending to say two groupies have made it, a small picture in the Air Flight magazine, they've made it, but I meant it sincerely. Like this was I don't see anything interesting in flight magazines. And there they are, and on the plane with me, and two people that they don't know calling out to them. To me, that was the biggest thing ever. I was like, this is great for you guys. And then they skyrocketed. And there's actually there's two versions of the Tomorrow video, and one they filmed in Australia for the because they won a competition basically on Triple J Radio to get their album made. And so they did an Aussie one. And then when they made it big in America, they did another American version, US version. But this song, because I thought people probably already heard Tomorrow.
Of course, yeah.
Great song. I love it. But Israel's Son, that's a really hard,
really good song.
Yeah, love it.
It's amazing. And, once again, it's like seeing an alternative version of like your favorite music, because this really does bring me right back to that time, which was probably the height of the beginning of like alternative rock or grunge, and that was like probably the height of me going to concerts and listening to stuff. So I love it. I love everything about it. If
you sing along to Israel's Son, by the end of the song, your throat's gonna be killing you. You might be coughing up blood. Like it gets really rough.
Yeah.
And it's funny for us, a lot of times when you say something like grunge, our immediate thought is Seattle, because that was such a big scene. Right. We don't think about the fact that it was an international movement. This kind of music became something.
This song sounded like a lot of to me, it sounded like early Alice in Chains. I mean, I don't know if that's a good comparison to make, but that's kind of the vibe I got from it. But I really liked it though.
Yeah, I got really into grunge. I was, I cut perfectly good pants into really bad shorts, and I wore open collared shirts and a grungy shirt underneath, and I grew my hair out and thought I was cool.
It's hard to picture that. We see you such a clean cut young lad, and
I could probably I'll find a photo at the end. I'll show you my grunge look.
Yeah, I had hair at one point, and it was rather long as well.
I got really into it.
I had so much, I even shaved portions of it and left other like the sides were shaved.
Yeah, I had the undercut. Yeah, I had that
long hair on top. Yeah,
I'm gonna find it.
As they say, hair today, gone tomorrow.
There. Check out this cool kid.
Look at that guy. Yeah, damn, you look like a rock star. What is that? Is that a
Guns N' Roses album? Yeah.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
What a
look out, ladies. Look out, ladies.
Speaking of some hooligans, the Screaming Jets.
Yeah.
Another fun one.
Oh yeah, this is great.
So this is actually my karaoke song of choice.
Nice.
I love this song. I don't know if I sing it well, but I do sing it, and it always gets a great audience reaction too. Another one at the end, when you're belting out, you get a sore throat. If I'm singing one song at all that night, it's going to be this song, and then that's it. I need a drink, and I need to just recuperate.
Oh man, and it's very what's the word? I want to say risque, but that's not quite right. It's just a fun song. Better is literally named after a sign outside of a brothel in Sydney from back in the day. So you can imagine the kind of antics that are going on. It's a good, fun, catchy pub song, and has been covered by other artists, including our buddy Jimmy. Jimmy does a good rendition of this.
Is that right?
Oh yeah, he's got the throat for it. That's a weird sentence to say out loud, but definitely. It's a good catchy one. It's got the it starts off with a bit of drums and a cool catchy bit of guitar, and then there's not if the dance floor is empty and you start singing this song, at least the blokes are going to come up and they're gonna get in there with you. This is not a song you sing alone. Everyone chimes in on this one.
That's it. By the time you get to the chorus, everybody's involved. It's awesome.
Definitely.
So another fun one, a banger, as they say.
It is a banger.
Moving into Cold Chisel, Lane Trees.
Yeah.
Very I want to say romantic, but not quite. I mean, it kind of is
heartbreaking and romantic.
And
again,
here's
I want
Jimmy.
to say with Cold Chisel, Cold Chisel tried to make it big in America, and they just didn't want any part of Cold Chisel, right? So they ended up writing a song called what is it called again? You got nothing I want, you got nothing I need, which is basically Jimmy Barnes saying, screw you guys in the US. You don't want us. We don't want you either, right? But there's also Kaysan, which almost made it to the list. It's probably the most overly played Cold Chisel song, but that's got to do with war and so forth as well. As does there's one about. I'm going to look it up because I want you guys. It's always in the pressure of it where I can never remember the name, but it's also got to do with coming home from war and how to survive the war basically, which is When the War is Over. Of course, check that one out too. When the War is over, in Kaysan, similar messaging almost. Bow River, which is almost also made the list, is probably my favorite Cold Chisel song. But Flame Trees, if you look at the film clip and you listen to the music, it's about coming home from to a town that you probably haven't been to for a while. But when you do come home, you've got those familiar faces, your old friends. It's like you've never even left. But there's that one thing when you come home that might be a little bit heartbreaking, and that's love lost. Yeah. And the sort of unwritten rule that you don't talk about the person that you don't talk about the person that you lost, but sort of circle around it, and I think it's pretty powerful. I mean, who needs that sentimental bullshit anyway?
Did Jimmy start with Cold Chisel and then went off and had a solo career, or?
Yeah. So they made it big in Cold Chisel, and he went off and did his solo stuff. I think some of his best stuff is with Cold Chisel. He does kind of tend to, particularly in the 90s, he does sort of start to get a little bit boppier and a little bit poppier, which doesn't really hit home as much. But I guess you got to feed the kids. You got to start putting out some of those other less rough songs. But yeah, Flame Trees, every time I hear that song, it's sort of another one of those ones where it's like, yeah, you know what, this is, I didn't quite get it as a kid, but as an adult, I get it now. I get it. And
this is another one, really great cinematography.
Oh, look at that. Yes. Look at that cool dude. Nice. We could have hung out together. Yeah. We could have hung out together, a couple of cool kids.
Looking for a picture of me when I had hair.
I burned all my pictures, so you ain't getting it.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. I got a little distracted there trying to find that one, but I got more. I've got video of me with long hair that I'll share one of these days. I
don't think there's any video of me, thankfully.
I won't share what I'm saying,
I was going to say, fortunately, that was before the age of the internet and everything being forever. It's like, some of my fashion choices were not the best. I'm glad there's not a lot of evidence.
I don't know. I reckon I looked pretty cool.
It's all a matter of
I've never been cooler. Yeah, that's it.
Ice House, another one that a lot of us are very familiar with.
This is one that I was familiar with. Yeah.
Yeah. Unless you are Australian, you may not understand the significance of Great Southern Land. It's a song I've heard many times, but it never clicked that, they're singing about Australia.
Yeah. The land down under, Great Southern Land. So Ice House has a lot of great hits. They have a lot of poppy hits as well, which aren't bad. Don't get me wrong. Like they're very good at what they do. But if you watch Ice House as they evolve into more popularity, their look and style do seem to change, which is, I guess, the only way that you can continue to push music and grow is to grow with the audience and try different things. So, I mean, Ice House, it was. I felt like this was probably one that most people would have already heard, but I thought that it was a great one to end on. For this is the last one, right? I've stopped counting.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, right. If it isn't, it was definitely the last one I sent to you because I think it accidentally got missed off the list. But if
Right.
I thought it'd be a nice one to end on because if you have heard it, it's also a really good one to just go and revisit, and maybe revisit it with the mindset of this is a Aussie anthem sort of song, and maybe maybe spin that perspective, and just have a little bit of celebration for the land down under, which again almost got into.
Now, for those of us who don't understand the cultural reference, what is the connection between this song and Young Einstein?
With Yahoo Serious? That was
Yahoo Serious. Yeah.
The thing that blew me away. I forgot that existed. It was
that's unfortunate. Yahoo Serious. Where did he go? I think he did Reckless Kelly. Did you guys ever get that movie over there?
Oh my
I think we did.
Young Einstein.
Yeah, so Yahoo Serious, Young Einstein.
Away when I saw that video because there's two versions.
On
the playlist, and I'm going, Young Einstein. That sounds familiar, and I love this movie. But when
I haven't seen that movie since.
I have not seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, we actually watched it at school. They had a projector, and they projected. We all watched it on school, even though there's heavy beer references in it.
Yeah.
If I had to hazard a guess, I would say that he's just sort of like I can't for the life of me remember, but I think it had something to do with him just wandering the outback potentially.
Yeah, pretty much.
Is that it? Good.
This is kind of like his anthem while he's going on his quest.
Right, so, right. Yeah.
Very cool.
Great movie. Check it out. You won't be disappointed.
But yes, this is the 10th of the songs that Xazyl sent us on this first of many playlists. We'll have him back at some point.
Oh,
you can't get enough.
It's great.
I got plenty more bangers.
Like I said, every one of them is just relatable, totally listenable. Like I loved every song on this playlist, and to me, like I said, it was like this window into it. Like I guess it was like when I discovered the UK Action Force.
Right.
I'll be right back, guys. Go ahead.
It was everything I loved about like the G.I. Joe toy line, but different and new to me, and I was learning about it as an adult. So it's like nostalgia plus discovery together.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what I mean?
That's great. Nostalgia plus discovery. I love that, Will.
Yes. Yeah.
I'll say I want to special shout out to Mum and Dad for introducing me to a lot of this music because I think Silverchair was the only one that I would have considered to be my music.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So Silverchair was mine. When I was growing up, that wasn't introduced to me by my parents, but every other song on here, Mum and Dad were listening to those songs. So that's how I got introduced to it, which is, I guess true for many people, is that they pick up their style from what their parents listened to.
And it's just all like, if this is what, if the average Australian is listening to this, I'd say I'm right there. I'd fit right in with them because this is the kind of stuff that, like I said, I could get, with.
So my hope is that you'll listen to some of these songs and then you'll maybe go and check out what other songs that they have that you may be interested in from some of these great bands and recording artists. I'll end on this little bit of Kelly and her husband when I went to stay at their house before Joe Fest. I was having a couple of quiet drinks with the husband, Derek, and he's like, "What are some music that I can put on?" And so he was like, "Just call out Alexa and whatever you want to put on there." And I'm like, "Okay, Alexa, Aussie Crawl," and they're like, eh. I was like, "Oh, hang on." All right, try Australian Crawl. It's like, do I need to put on an accent? But we actually sat down in his garage and had some beers, and we were trading songs. Like he would show me a song, and I would show him a song.
Yeah,
it was really good. It was interesting having that Australiana presence while over in, like, I'm sitting there and I'm listening to pub music in someone's garage from the United States.
Sure.
And it's like, this is great. And then switching over, and you're wearing an AC/DC shirt. Lots of AC/DC was played. AC/DC is a great band. There were so many bands that I could have added to the list, but I'm hoping that these will get some of those lesser known ones over your side of the world.
Oh yeah. And like you said, Xazyl, what's cool is people will listen to these playlists and it springboards into listening to other things from the albums or other things these artists have been involved in. And for us, a lot of times we're being introduced to artists maybe we didn't know. Some of these I was not familiar with. I'm loving me some Jimmy. That's probably one of my favorites from the whole playlist.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely, the Infinite playlist, what it's done for us, like I said, we get old, we stop discovering new stuff and we kind of just stick to our same thing. So sharing these things has been eye-opening for me, but it's like a lot of things are things I probably wouldn't gravitate towards or try unless someone suggested them to me. So I they challenge my usual tastes. Not this list. This list was just like, keep it coming. Yeah, more of that. Yeah, it's just great. So that's what I'm saying.
Good.
Xazyl, me, the Outback, this playlist, no problem. We could do it.
There you go.
Excellent. We'll collect sticks together.
Yeah,
a great ringing endorsement from Wilhelm Toy and Hobby. So, thank you, Xazyl. Please come again. We love you, buddy. We enjoyed this very much. We'll get some other Clubhouse knuckleheads on the Infinite playlist, hopefully in the near future as well. It's fun watching you guys just play and have fun with what you're doing. And we enjoy being
the next show coming up. I love the Toy Biz part 1.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that's
none of your Toy Biz. That's great.
Is this any of your Toy Biz? So essentially, I've decided that I want to do less shows about what interests me and more shows about what interests the people that I'm hanging out with, so that I can learn and experience all of this stuff from my childhood in a new sort of light. So is that any of your Toy Biz? We're going through the entire line of Toy Biz action figures, learning a lot of history to do with that I didn't know, and going through DC first because they came canonically first before I can get to the Marvel stuff that I love. Right, so it's really helping me because I can talk about the stuff that I like, but I'm not really learning anything more than I already love the stuff. Yeah. And hanging out with people that are passionate about the things that they're passionate about helps me to appreciate those things that maybe I didn't touch on before. So it's like what you were saying, Will, where it's you're experiencing it with some sort of sense of nostalgia, but it's also brand new. So you sort of feel that nostalgia, but it's new as well. But I've got a new show with Nate, which is "Oh Ring a Bell." Right? He doesn't know much about he doesn't know much about G.I. Joe. So we're going to pinpoint a character about G.I. Joe, and we're just going to go through the character, a little bit of his history or her history, depending on the character, and then we'll just ask a question: does this "Oh Ring a Bell"? Does any of this connect? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Well,
is this all new to you?
Definitely. You may not know this, but I'm a bit of a Toy Biz connoisseur myself, and and I really enjoy them, so I'm really looking forward to
good.
Like they say, great minds think alike.
They do O-ring a bell with me. I happen to have plenty of O-ring figures, and my favorite. So love them.
We'll spend a lot of time with a company that's, I don't know if you guys had it in Australia, but it was very popular in the States, called KB Toys. And one of the mainstays at KB was Toy Biz, along with a few other lines. Power of the Force was big. So
at the time I was there because it was the late 90s, early 2000s. But
I got a pin.
The Toy and Hobby from Wilhelm actually comes from KB Toy and Hobby. At one point, they were KB Toy and Hobby. They used to sell model kits and all kinds of hobby supplies as well. Right. And then they shortened it. They went, we're just KB Toys,
Well, I got a KB pin from
That's right.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So later in this year, we're going to be working on some KB memories of Wilhelm's that we'll be doing on his show.
Oh, that's cool.
And we'll be working on some other cool, nifty nostalgia type stuff on the lair. hopefully we'll have some involvement with Xazyl with Operation Brainstorm, seeing what he can come up with some fun, nifty bits. Playing with your toys, man. Gotta play
love
with
it.
them. No vanilla poses here.
No, it's and that's part of the reason why I started doing the Slaughterhouse Wrestling Championship, is because it just felt like the best way to continue to play with my toys, like I did, but also do it in a way where I'm giving it like a continued narrative, and it's literally just it's a show. But that's the disguise. The disguise is it's a show. The reality of it is that I'm just playing with my toys.
I love it.
Nothing wrong with that, man. You're in the right crowd. I mean, we're very much advocates of good storytelling, having fun with your toys, finding cool ways to do toy photography or enjoy what you have. And you guys do a great job of that with the Clubhouse and the Slaughterhouse Championship Wrestling, if I've said that right. But
close enough.
Always love that stuff. Hey, I'm old.
Yeah,
I got Swiss cheese memory.
There's an idea.
Oh,
these two guys. I was going to do a buddy cop show with these two guys.
Yeah, call it foreplay.
I was thinking Brothers in Arms because of the arms.
Oh, that's much better.
Whatever.
That's much better. I do want to say though, fellas, I always love the dynamic with you guys. It's like hanging out with old friends. And that's even from the audience. People in the audience watching this now will agree that watching you guys together, even in the chat, it's like hanging out with an old friend. And it just feels welcoming. It feels inclusive, and it's good classic fun. And that's what always brings me back to you guys. It's good classic fun. And I appreciate it when you guys wanted me to come on here and do this. I'm like, yes, anything. You could have said, do you want to come and dress up in a tutu and do a spin? Yes. I'll do it.
No, that's for our Easter special.
It's been way too long. Yeah.
Well, I
bring on
appreciate
Easter.
the compliment. We definitely enjoy what we do, just because we have a good rapport. This is the kind of stuff we'd be talking about even if we weren't doing a YouTube show. So it's
exactly.
It just comes.
If we were at a pub listening to pub rock and yelling out, am I ever going to see your face again? This is the kind of conversation we'd be having in between and F off.
That's right.
No way.
Joe Fest karaoke will never be the same now. So
yeah, right. Why didn't I sing that song?
I know. We should put that one up there next time.
Done.
So lots of cool stuff will be coming from all of our channels. Please check out what Xazyl's doing with Xazyl's Clubhouse, Wilhelm Toy and Hobby, and Largo's Lair. We're going to be doing all kinds of stuff this year. No set schedule, just as fun concepts come and go, we'll get them out there. But for now, enjoy your playlists. Check out some new music. Check out some things from different cultures and expand your mind, if you will. All right, guys. Exactly. I'm gonna play us out, and everybody have a great one. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye.